Hey guys,
Hey.
it's me and Maren here. 2 years ago, Maren collapsed in a Neuralink. She has MS, multiple sclerosis. So she was paralysed, right? She was completely paralysed, couldn't walk, couldn't do anything. And she went to the hospital in Norway for about 5 weeks. She didn't improve in there, did you, Maren? There was no improvement at all. And then they were putting you into a rehab centre.
Yeah.
For 5 weeks. Now, the astonishing part is one of the leading surgeons or specialists for MS came in and sat down and explained a few things to Maren about going to this rehab and trying different drugs. They weren't sure because drugs don't really work that much with MS. They're all more of an experiment. I said to the surgeon or the specialist, I said, look, we know stem cell, there's a stem cell process with MS in third world countries that works for MS. She said, oh, but it cost about $500,000. I said, no, it doesn't. It's about $12,000 in third world countries. Isn't that right, Maren?
Yeah.
She said, oh, yeah, she knows, but the system. Isn't that right?
No.
Now, Maren's own mother was there and she overheard every word that was said.
Yes.
She basically said she knew that this would cure MS, but the system. And I said, look, the process you've been putting Maren through and what it costs to keep Maren and MS patients today is far more expensive than doing stem cell process, which actually cures the problem. Her only answer was, oh, but the system, wasn't it, Maren?
Yeah.
Right? Just the system. Stay sit there.
Yeah.
Walk away. So anyway, the fact is, Maren also, her spinal cord went completely backwards into total seizure. This is the worst MS gets, isn't it?
Yeah.
The absolute worst, right, it could be. In that moment, I grabbed Maren. I told Maren, I said, look, everything's a possession. It's a placebo effect. The medication, the doctors, they don't know what they're doing. Everyone's possessed. Maren, you're possessed with a placebo effect. And that's why we suffer the human condition. And of course, Maren didn't believe me. She told her mum that she said to her mum, she said, Kim said I'm possessed. Her mum just laughed about this, but I was serious and I proved it. I grabbed Maren when her spinal cord was totally backwards, right, in the worst position you could be in and couldn't walk, correct?
Yeah.
I pulled it towards me with a divine intervention, divine power, harnessed the power in the spinal cord. She straightened up. She walked out of hospital that day, drove back here to the cabin.
Yeah.
Her mother came the next day here, okay, saw a miracle. Could not believe her own eyes that Maren was walking around perfectly, right, perfectly. Just a little bit of tingling in the fingers. Up and down staircases, which were a little bit dangerous, Maren was sweet, completely cured from every problem and sitting in a wheelchair with a spinal cord completely in seizure. So I proved that I could harness the power to straighten Maren up with a miracle, and she walks out of hospital perfect.
Yeah.
Isn't that true, Maren?
Yes.
And her mother comes the next day and is mind blown. She writes a powerful post on Facebook the next day. She saw the miracle. She's already forgotten about it. And she don't have any faith in me. I've created many miracles, some of the biggest miracles ever recorded in modern history. The two most powerful miracles recorded in hospital is recorded with me in modern technology and with solid evidence. In a big study done, it's proven that I can do everything Christ can and more, and also teach the resurrection of humanity with the book Freedom by Jet McGinnis, the Holy Grail of Life, held by 16,000 top scholars in the world. The Holy Grail of Life to cure the human condition that we all suffer from. because it's in our mind with the placebo effect anti-clockwise. And I've proven that to Marilyn
Yeah.
with a massive miracle. And her mum saw it with her own two eyes, put up a post the next day. Now, what's critical about this is that Marilyn, when she first came to me in January 2022, the very first day Marilyn walked in my door, she fainted in my bathtub, right? Oh, sorry, in my bathroom. Isn't that right? You dropped, completely fainted. Marilyn's been known to faint throughout her life since her childhood. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
And she's fainted many times.
Yes.
In the time Marilyn's been with me, we do not use drugs or alcohol. Marilyn does not drink.
No.
Okay? The last person Marilyn was living with, she fainted a few times. It was put down to alcohol. But Marilyn very well knows that she faints without alcohol and always has. And this is recorded on medical files, and her family does know that she faints. Marilyn's fainted about 7, 8 times in the time she's been with me. But I want to make this very, very clear. In 1992, Kirsteen Ashley, Ipswich Hospital, 7 peer reports and CCTV. She took enough drugs to kill 50 people. She was Narcan and brought to Ipswich Hospital in 92. And the emergency team worked on her frantically to pump her stomach. And they said they give her 0% chance of living, but they're going to do the best to save her life. In that room with CCTV and 7 powerful peer reports from these doctors and nurses, she flatlines a second time, and when she does, her body lifts 8 inches off the bed from one end to the other. On CCTV, boom, thump, she lifts one end to the other, 8 inches off the bed. The heart monitor comes back on. They work on her frantically to pump her stomach to save her life and continue that process. But they were in shock. This didn't happen once or twice, but 3 times. On CCTV, it's loud and clear that each time there's more power involved and she lifts up higher until she lifts and makes it through this. In 2003, she wrote the most powerful poem worldwide, #1, for 8 months, The One and Only. In DNA studies done, and the most powerful confirmation on Earth, in the biggest study ever done with the biggest think tank, biological evidence and miracles in hospital with divine power, I'm #1, the only one of a kind that can do every single thing that Christ can and more, that leads with my DNA, the Book of Life. By Jeremy Griffiths wrote the book Freedom, the cure of the human condition that's going to save humanity. As he says, we found the last human beings born on earth that can do every single thing that Christ can and more. In DNA, with DNA, the Book of Life, declared that it's in our biological evidence. Every one of us has the same tools with the same genetic process and ancestry genetic memory, right? Coding our DNA with 130 nucleosome molecules with genetic repair kit to preserve DNA, self-preservation made for life. That means longevity. So we never suffer the human condition ever again from the placebo effect that's been engineered on reverse psychology in our mind. Everybody do not know what they do because they can only use 7 to 10% of the brain. Okay? 1% can use up to 15%. But we can now master the mind and use 100% with an outside influence. You see in the movie Limitless with the drug. And the drug shows you that we do not know what we're doing, but the drug can activate your mind with your sacred secretion to think outside the mind. And you can see that in this movie with propaganda. We developed that drug in the underground world in Australia called Bread Manna. That's in the Bible, that Christ's message used, which brought people back in their primal state in the biggest mental health research and DNA study ever done. And this is where the solid evidence is. That we suffer the human conditioning in every human being on earth. We've been conditioned into a conditioning with the placebo effect anti-clockwise. Now we found the cure in my DNA. If I can cure it, and if I can do what Christ can and more, so can you. So I want you to listen to me very carefully. Kirsteen Ashley wrote the most powerful poem in 2003, The One and Only. I want to give you some critical information. Only one person in the whole world can back up. Marilyn about 6 weeks ago, she stopped breathing for more than a minute. Her heart stopped completely. There was no heartbeat. I was sitting next to her and I thought, what do I do? Call the emergency? And I thought to myself, no. I grabbed her the same way I grabbed her when her spinal cord gave up and she was paralysed. Exactly the same way I grabbed Marion and I called Marion. Kirstine Ashley in 1992 says, when she flatlined those 3 times in hospital, I called her back. The one and only. This is what she said in the interview, that I called her back and she came back. Here's something critical. When Marion stopped breathing for more than 1 minute and her heart stopped, this was unlike any other time that she fainted. I could not bring her back. So I had to move over and grab her and hold her tight. And I said to her, Marion, come back. Marion, come back. Marion wakes up like this. I'm back, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back, I'm back. You remember that?
No, I'm here. Yes.
I'm here, sorry, yeah. I'm here. But she's gasping for air, she starts to breathe again. I'm here, like this. If you can imagine that scene. So Marion's gone through this experience as well. Okay, she knows she was in the tunnel and I was calling her back.
Yes.
And she heard me call her when she was out cold.
Yes.
And she responds to it the minute she gasps for air. No one believes in this. Well, the biggest study done by Jeremy Givers in the top think tank in the world, my ex-wife, Kirstine Ashley, 1992 with Ipswich Hospital, 7 peer reports and CCTV, it's not the only one. There are other people I brought back to life the same way when they flatlined and called them back and they came back. Divine power. Divine power, right? Okay. So in the biggest study done for 34 years and DNA study done, I'm one of a kind. I can do everything Christ can and more. And now we have the cure of the human condition to may save humanity with the book Freedom by Jeremy Givers. And we're not breathing the holy breath of life to recreate the sacred secretion with the sixth sense, to think outside the mind. Well, we can all do what Christ can and more. I'm solid living evidence, and 99.999% of people have no faith in it at all. They don't care neither because they can't feel the truth anymore. Their aura in their body cells is anti-clockwise, and their body cells can corrupt collusion during the daytime and can only be at night time, and they all die prematurely from stress-related diseases. Every human being on earth dies from the human conditioning prematurely. Every human on earth. So every human on earth, we can now prove, suffers the human conditioning, except for a handful of people that thinks outside the mind and cross back over in their primal state to master their vessel and master mind and do every single thing that Christ can and more. And as Jeremy Givers says, we found the last human beings born on earth. We're not breathing program, Win Up himself in the biggest study we've done, and Mastermind Shihing both harness the power, both auras are clockwise, and can repair 24 hours a day in the biggest study done. Wenhoff himself won a Nobel Prize without a credential. Mastermind Shihing, harness the power. They're going worldwide. Wenhoff is at Oxford University, you see on YouTube, teaching the new scholars. And the biggest scholars in the whole world is on the same page where DNA studies done with the book Freedom, where Jeremy Givers for the first time in the biggest merge in human history. And 99% of the whole human population don't care because they can't feel the truth anymore. They come to their own conclusion with reasoning and couldn't care less because they're in post-human stage and their 24th chromosomes in dormancy. You see in study research, they have 32 senses, they can only use 5, and they can only use mentality in a personality, and they have amnesia in their own biological genes with their natural selection and a natural order of life because they're conditioned into the conditioning. So they make unnatural selection every day of their life and don't care. They just keep going to work, paying the bills and entertaining themselves and care about nothing, right, but what they believe in, trapped inside their mind with this greatest deception ever created in history with evolution mutation and artificial intelligence. And that's what they believe in the most. When you can't use your own natural selection with your natural genetic molecules coding your own DNA, you don't have faith in your own biological genes to use your natural selection with genetic memory and genetic molecules with DNA, the book of life, with 2 molecules of mortality that repairs every single thing that you suffer from. So when the whole world's got 600 to 6,000 defective genes, and now it's been declared worldwide in America, 77% of their children is now born with chronic diseases because their parents live in denial about gene defects declared 2003. They don't care. Now the kids all around the world are suffering more mental disorders and more gene defects than ever in history, in the biggest drug and stress and paranoid pandemic ever seen in human history. And do you think people care? No, they don't. So therefore, they're going on a 6th mass extinction, stripping the 6th sense for the 6th time because they haven't got a 6th sense. Hawaiian syndromes, mental disorders, gene defects, cancer, blood clot, myocarditis are in turbocharged rates worldwide in the biggest drug pandemic and stress pandemic in human history, where everyone is starting to die prematurely, with Hawaiian syndromes worldwide and peer reports in every country in the world, where everyone's losing their magnetic fields, that magnetic pulse, the EMP pulse. That's what happens when you live in your mind and personality and don't care. Now, this has been escalating, getting out of control with the placebo effect that's sending animals around circles over the earth, birds falling out of the sky with vertigo, the same as Hawaiian syndrome, and people all over the world don't care. Well, that's what happens when people don't care and keep following the wrong tools in their DNA. And that's been declared worldwide. Everyone suffers the human conditioning. Everybody can't use 85 to 93% of their brain. Everybody can't use 27 biofields. And no one can use their 24th chromosome. No one has faith in their own biological genes with a natural selection and a natural order in life with their natural organic motor skills. Some people have mental telepathy, yes, people remote you, telekinesis, levitation, improvement clock winding, fault in space and time with deja vu, predict the future of event, what's going to happen. Some people can harness the power like I can. They can do what Christ can and more. Marin's solid evidence with 2 massive miracles. And her mum's seen it with her own 2 eyes. Okay? And we have many studies about this, and behind me, there's nobody on earth like me. And you know what? I am the way I am because 99% of people don't care. I can't talk to people and tell them the truth because I want to control their own narrative with their own systems. They don't care what I say. They don't hear me out, and they couldn't care less. I deal that with everyone, don't I, Mary? You've seen it yourself.
Yes.
When people talk to me, they want to control the conversation because they have no faith. Yet I'm the only one in the world in the biggest stage that can do what Christ can and more. And Marion is solid evidence. And I've proven it time and time again. Imagine being in my shoes when nobody cares. When I'm the only one of a kind that brings the cure of the human condition, humanity, and DNA with the book of life. Hailed by 16,000 top scholars of the world, the Holy Grail of life. And you think you know better than me? When I'm the one leading this research in my DNA, with the most powerful confirmation on earth, imagine what I feel like. Everyone thinks they know better than me when they don't. They don't. They don't care. Because of their own self-centered, egotistical mindset and their mentality. Always think they know better. Really? Could they bring her back to life? Can they perform that kind of miracle? Can they really? No, they can't. And they have no faith in me. Yet I'm the one that cures everything you suffer from. And that's ironic that you're that brain-dead stupid that you don't care about nothing but yourself. How many people in your family suffer from human conditioning? Stress, fear, anxiety, mental disorders, defects. How many people suffer? We can cure every single human being on earth. It's you and the likes of people like you that prevents this. The mentality you live in without a care factor. You're the problem, not the cure. I'm the cure, not the problem.